Hey everyone, it's Frank from Minnesota Camping. I haven't posted a video in a while, and for that I apologize. I will try to do a better job of getting more videos out there and getting back to some of the follow-up videos for some of my other reviews. Today, however, I'd like to do a quick review on some of the backpacking lanterns or lightweight camping lanterns that I've used. Most of the ones that I'm looking at here are battery powered, not gas powered or anything like that. And I'm not going to get super into details about any of these lights as far as run times, how much light they put out, or anything like that. They're backpacking lanterns. They're camping lanterns. They all do a great job of putting light out. Some put out more than others, but none of these are like so bad where you couldn't use them. So if you're really that concerned about like the light you're getting out of them, then I would look at maybe some other people's reviews on them and find out more information about a particular one. My journey through lanterns has been kind of a crappy one. I have had some bad luck with them. I've had some good luck with some of them, but I don't use them a lot. I typically just use my headlamp. If I'm going on a camping trip, backpacking, I normally just take this. The only times I use lanterns is if I'm looking for a backup to my lantern, my headlamp, or if I need to go, I just need more light, whether that be it's winter time and it's shorter days, or I bring all my kids and we just need more reading light. So the few that I use or have used, starting out with the most simplest version, and the one that I don't use a lot, but I still find some value in, is the REI candle lantern. This is really old, so I don't think REI makes these anymore, but someone makes a version of this very, very similar. And it is basically a candle that goes inside a little glass lantern. And the downfalls of this are just two. It's probably puts out the least amount of light. Again, you can still see, it's not like it's going to be dim, but it's not super bright. And it is not, it's heavy. It's probably the heaviest out of the group. But if you're bringing an extra lantern with, you're probably not super concerned with weight already, but just so you know, this is probably the heaviest out of the group. The benefits of this thing is that it's probably the most reliable. It uses a candle. I mean, even if everything else broke on this, you could still use the candle to give yourself some light. And because it's a candle, it puts out a little bit of heat, and that's why I use it mostly in the winter time. If I'm winter camping, I will put this in my tent. It doesn't warm up your tent a lot, but it gives you a little source of heat if your hands are cold, or you just need a little bit of heat. So that's what I still use. But for daily use, for most of the year, I try to use a battery-powered one. I started out with this Snow Peak Hazuki. It's a mini lantern of the bigger Snow Peak lantern, and I use this for maybe a year. It doesn't work right now. Mostly my fault. I left the batteries in there and they corroded inside, and the contacts are kind of shot. I would have replaced it if it wasn't for the other little issues I had with it. Before I get into those issues, so it's basically just a little lantern. It's got a little dome LED. It's got a little hook that's also kind of a magnetic thing. And because of that, and because of the fact that it's more of a directional light versus something that just diffuses light, it makes a great backup to your headlamp. So if you're looking for a backup headlamp, this would be a great one because you can clip that to your body. And like I said, it produces not only more light, but it's also dimmable, so you can kind of choose how much light you want to use. It uses 3 AAA batteries that I found had to be removed when you're moving, because and that's the reason I didn't want to replace it, is if I put 3 brand new batteries in there, like twice it happened where so you push on this little dome. I don't know if you can hear that, but when you push on it, that's the button, and twice I went into camp with brand new batteries and somehow it turned on and drained the batteries. So I had to start removing the batteries when it was in my pack, which can be kind of a pain. The other issue with it is the design just isn't great. The top kind of just lightly, just kind of, if you can get it, let's see, I already had an issue. You gotta find the right spot. I can't find it. I think it's right there. There we go. And then it's got this little diffusing ring that also is kind of a pain because it's got to wrap around there, and then it has a tendency to come off a lot too. So great idea. It didn't quite work out for me. That said, this is a few years old, so maybe Snow Peak has made some improvements on that. So if before you rule this one out, maybe it would be worth a look to see if they've done anything new to this thing. The next set of lights I went to was from Practical Power, and this is a rope light. I think they have a fancier name for it than rope light, but it basically is just a rope light, about 5 feet long. The benefits of this guy is that it provides a lot of light, especially if you have a bigger tent, and it's pretty versatile. You could crunch it all back up, put it back for more of a diffuse light. It's got lots of different magnetic hanging points, loops that can be moved around and kind of put around. So it's got a lot of versatility. The downfall of this light might be, well, actually there's two big ones, might be the fact that it doesn't come with its own power supply. So it just comes with a USB end, and the power supply is something that you have to provide. I always bring a Mophie power pack of some sort, so for me it wasn't a big deal. I always had it with to charge my phone, but if you don't normally bring a battery backup, this one could be a heavier version, or one of the heavier lights, because you will need something. The second, and probably the biggest downfall of this thing is it broke on me. As you can see, it's plugged in and it's not on. It has a short in it that I found right before my most recent trip to the Great Smokies, and I can't even get it to come on now, but it shorted out and it doesn't work anymore. So I ended up having to call Practical Power, and they were able to, they just set one rate, sent me a replacement with no questions asked. Their customer service was great, and unfortunately it didn't come before my trip. Otherwise I wouldn't have even bought another one, but it did come. Now I haven't used a new one yet, but you can see it's very similar. I can't remember if this one came with this little reel, but I'm going to end up using the reel for storing it and even traveling with it to try to prevent kinks in there. My guess is that I had it in my backpack and it folded in on itself, so keeping on this reel should help that. But the new one, as you can see, works just fine, and hopefully this will work. I'm going to continue to use this light, especially when I backpack with the kids in the bigger tents because of the light it puts out. But it's a great light. I enjoy using it, and I hope that this one lasts longer than that one. I'll try to take a little bit better care of it, but sometimes with camping gear that's not always an option. So for my trip to the Great Smokies this last week, I ended up buying a relatively newer light, I think. It's called a Luci Lux, and they seem to be really popular. I think they had 3 different models when I looked at it at REI. This is the diffused model. They make one with clear plastic, and they make one with colored lights in it. They're a solar powered light that is inflatable, and packs down pretty small. As you can see, it just kind of sandwiches like that, and then you can just blow it right back up. I did have a little problem with the blow up tube. It's a little bit hard to get your mouth in there to blow it up. And then once it is blown up, I had a problem with this little top piece popping out. But overall, not that big of a deal because it's not like you're putting any pressure on this. It's just to diffuse the light, so it's not that big of a deal. The top has a solar panel. It's got a battery checker indicator light, and it's also got the power light, which has 3 different settings: low, high, and then the blinking thing. I believe this one said it'll last 10 hours on a solar charge, so obviously therein lies the first problem. If you're in an area that doesn't get a lot of sunlight, or you don't remember to take it out of your pack and charge it, it's going to be worthless to you. But that also might be a plus. That means that you don't have to carry extra batteries if you're going on a long trip. You just use the sunlight to charge this up, and it should work great. As far as light, it was great. I mean, me and the kids loved using it. It lit up our entire REI 6-person tent without a problem. Lasted quite a while. I think we didn't even charge this thing. I think we just had a full charge, and it still got 2 out of 3, probably only used 1/3 of its power. And we used it for 3 nights, so without even, like I said, without charging it with sunlight. So it was decent. It was very good. Between I'm actually kind of torn between the rope light and the Luci Lux light right now, as far as which one I like more. So I will continue to test these. But if you're looking at lanterns, there's a few options. I know there's a couple other options out there. Black Diamond makes a good one, and then I think there's some gas powered ones. But these are the ones that I have experience with, and like I said, I don't use them a ton. So it's not something that is mission critical to me for a piece of equipment. So I hope that helps. Hopefully there's some you got some information out of that, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time.